Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to take panel fabric and turn it into a small quilt. This particular panel fabric is a baby print, but you can find panel fabric in other prints. Now the reason why we selected this one is my daughter just told me she's expecting our very first grandchild. I'm so excited, I am ready to burst. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that you can now follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, now we can get started. Before you get the fabric for the back and your batting that goes in between the two layers of fabric, you first need to measure this piece of panel fabric. They're all going to be a little different, so you can't go by what my measurements are. You really do have to measure your own fabric. This particular panel piece, from the selvage edge down to the other selvage edge, is 42 inches. So when you go to buy your fabric for the back, that fabric needs to be at least 42 inches, the same measurement as this, or more. So most of your quilting fabric is going to be anywhere from 42 to 44 inches. Then measure the width going this way so you know how much to buy. This is 1 yard, 36 inches. I'm going to add a little bit more on so I can cut everything to be an exact fit, because I want to cut it exactly the same size as this. This might be a little crooked, so that's why you want to buy a little more. So I'm going to buy 1 1/8 yard. So you can either use cotton batting, but because it's going to be for a little baby, I'm going to use this extra loft polyester batting. You can buy this in crib size packages. I usually buy mine at Walmart because my local Walmart sells fabric, but not all Walmarts sell fabric. We just happen to get lucky. On this quilt that I'm demonstrating on, I'm just going to have a plain edge on all 4 sides. But if you're interested in adding any kind of ruffle like this is lace, the lace ruffle you can buy on spools. And then also I used on this one this extra large rickrack. So if you're interested in putting something like this on, it's just one more extra step. Then play this video until a green screen appears, and on that green screen will be the links to these 2 baby quilts. Before you cut into your fabric, I highly recommend you pre-wash it first. But before you wash it, do a zigzag stitch over the raw edges, the 2 raw edges at each side, because this way that zigzag stitch will prevent the fabric from unraveling. After you've done that, you've washed and dried it, then you want to trim your selvage edges off. So place it on there. Now, it's rare that you're going to find a piece of panel fabric that is perfectly square and even. It's very difficult to find it. So first, line up that ruler as best you can so it's straight across, and then trim the selvage edges off. Then I'm going to move the fabric. I'm going to pull it towards me because I can't quite reach that far. A little more. And smooth out your fabric and still line up that ruler on the edge, on some of the edge that you've already cut, so it's nice and straight. And go ahead and I'm going to move it down just a little more. There we go. All right, now I've got it. So go ahead and trim the rest of it off. Then go to the other side and trim off the selvage on the other end. Next step is to straighten out your 2 raw edges where you did your zigzag stitch. And you don't want to cut off very much of this. All you're trying to do is just straighten it a little bit. And remember, it's never going to be perfectly square and straight because that's just the life of panel fabric. That's just the way it goes. I've done so many of these that I haven't found one yet that was straight. So I'm going to go down and might just trim a little off here and there. Let me pull this towards me some more. There we go. And line it up on the edge. You don't want to cut too much of your design off because then it takes away from the overall quilt. So you want to keep as much as you can on there. And I've got just a little bit more to go. And so after you cut this edge, then make sure you go over to the other side and trim that edge off too. Place the polyester batting down first. Then take your fabric for the very back of the quilt and lay the back side of the fabric down on top and smooth it out really well. Go all over the entire piece and smooth it out. So remember, you're looking at the pretty side of your fabric. Take the panel fabric and bring the pretty side, the front of the fabric, on top of the fabric for the back. So you have the two front sides of your fabric pieces together. Now notice that I have a little bit of fabric extending out past the edge. You kind of want it like that. And if you're able to, even on the sides if you can, have it sticking out. Really spend some time smoothing your fabric. Don't stretch it, just gently smooth it around all over the entire side, so that all the fabric layers stay together while you are cutting around all four sides. You want to place pins, and I have it mostly just here in the center. So I have about 4 across and just 3 rows. Place your ruler on the edge of the fabric panel piece, and you're going to cut through all the layers at the same time. So I'm using a rotary cutter because it's just so much easier, but you can use scissors, but try to stay very accurate. So then go ahead and cut, and then slowly move your fabric so that you can get to farther out on that edge here. Now you know why you need to have everything pinned together, otherwise it would all shift. And then go ahead and finish cutting this row. Then of course you would move your fabric again and then cut around on the other side. Now I'm going to go around to this side over here. This is what's really nice about having it on either a cutting table or your dining room table. The cutting mat that I have that I'm using, I get asked this question all the time. Where did you get your cutting mat? You can get your cutting mat from Joann Fabrics and Crafts, and make sure you take in one of their 50% off coupons. So if you have the Joann's app on your phone, which I do, you go in there, you show the coupon on the app, and they'll give you a discount on it. You also can go on Amazon.com and buy one too. So I'm going to continue down and pull the fabric towards me. Again, you can see the importance of having everything pinned together, and then finish cutting this side. After you've got this side, then of course you're going to have to turn your fabric and then cut the last 2 sides. Place pins around all 4 edges. Now because this batting kind of slips around a lot, I put my pins fairly close together. It just saves a lot of heartache as you're stitching around the edges if you've got a lot of pins holding it together. So leave an opening a little bit larger than your hand. I've got a lot of space here and here because you're going to turn this quilt front side out, so you need quite a bit of room to do that. Then starting on one side of the opening, you're going to back stitch here and do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around all 4 sides. So continue stitching down, and when you get to the corner, you're sewing down here. Stop when you're a 1/4 inch away from this edge. leave your needle down through the fabric and lift up your presser foot and turn your quilt, lower the presser foot, and continue stitching. So you would do that at all corners. So stitch around all 4 sides, and then when you're coming along back here, make sure you back stitch right here also. Before I take the quilt to the sewing machine, I roll it up like this because it's just so much easier to handle when you roll it up. After you've got all the stitching done around the sides, then I recommend you trim a little bit of the corner off. Not a lot, about down to 1/8 of an inch wide. And this way, when you go to turn it front side out, the corners aren't going to be quite so bulky and funny looking. So I usually go across the corner like that, and then I'll take just a tiny bit off the side there and there. And then do that at all 4 corners. Reach inside the opening between the 2 fabrics that are for the outside, and reach inside and go over to one of the corners, go all the way down in there, and just begin to pull it front side out. And just take your time doing this because you don't want to tear your fabric. Reach inside again and now go down to the corner and poke your corners out. Do this at all 4 corners. At the opening, fold your edges inside and then use pins to hold it in place. And then stitch close to the edge all the way across and use matching thread. Now begin smoothing out everything. Make sure everything is smoothed out really well. Then stand back and take a look at the picture that's printed on your fabric. On mine, I've got these 2 sections here that is a border. So there's a border printed on here and a border printed on here. So what I'm going to do is stitch right on the edge of the border, and I'm going to go around all 4 sides. Same thing on this one, and then on the other side of it. Then after that, this center piece here that's in the middle, I'm going to stitch around all of it just to highlight it and make it pop out of the quilt. So once you decide where you'd like to do your quilting stitches, and quilting stitches just mean this, you're going to stitch through all 3 layers and you're going to use matching thread. So because this is a very light one, I'm probably just going to use white thread throughout. Then if you have safety pins, use safety pins to pin all the layers together. But if all you have are straight pins, then go ahead and place them all over the top so your fabric does not shift while you are stitching. I've just finished all of the top stitching, and this is a quilt that you can do in a day. I mean, even less. It's really, really fast. These are great ways for beginners to learn how to do quilting, making simple blankets for babies. For more beginners panel fabric projects, play this video until a green screen appears and then click on the links. If you like this video, please click on thumbs up and don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Click on the bell and enter your email address so you receive email notifications about my latest video. This is Maria and Bailey. This is Jamie and Teddy. And this is Manny. So glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time and happy sewing!